Good afternoon and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at noon and on demand at ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcasts. We are your hosts, Marcus Walgrave with the South Dakota Home Team powered by Hague Realtors, Mike Overson with Luminate Bank, and possibly Jason Walgrave with Walgrave Real Estate Group at Remax Advantage Plus. Always, Evan Little, our amazing producer, insurance guru, is taking care of us, making sure the show is stellar and awesome every week. We're going to be taking all you guys' questions here on today's show. Anything and everything real estate. We have a call-in number. It's 612-234-7585. Again, that's 612-234-7585. Or you can leave us a message in the comments section below. Good afternoon, Mike. How are we doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Clearly doing better than Jason because we gotta talk about our pre-show email chain here. So so Evan sends it out saying, "Hey, who's hosting today? What's the topic we're talking about?" And Marcus replies back first, and then Jason goes back. Overson, you actually going to show up today?
Apparently, he managed to start his computer and get stuck in Windows updates.
Oh, good.
Oh, got it.
Right? I've used that excuse before too. Yep.
He sent me a photo, so it must be true.
Oh,
He sent you. He had to prove it, right? You know.
Yeah.
Excuses.
So anyway,
everybody's got one,
and they all stink.
That's good.
Love it.
Hey, we are going to be talking about forecasting. We're in the month of July. Crazy to say that July is almost done. So we are in the second half of 2025. And we're going to be trying to give some forecasting for what you guys can expect, buyers, sellers, investors, for the second half of 2025. And we're going to kind of go from there. So, Mike, let's just jump into it right away here. When we talk about forecasting, I think one thing that we really want to make sure everybody knows, this is our disclaimer. Make sure that you speak with a real estate professional who is very experienced and knowledgeable in your specific market, because it matters. And there's even, micro and levels of it too, right? I mean, you can be within my market, which is the Sioux Empire, the Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the greater area, or the Mike's primary area that you service is the Twin Cities and greater area. But if we were talking about maybe what's going on in Mankato, Minnesota. Yes, that's not considered the Twin Cities. And they might be having something different going on. Or you come down here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, there may be a specific neighborhood that has a different type of activity and behavior going on. So be very specific. If your timeline to buy, sell, or invest in real estate is in the immediate future, that's when you really want to start getting dialed in and getting the very specific information for you. But we're just going to talk generally speaking here. A lot of national news articles out there, and so you just got to make sure that what you're seeing, what you're reading, it's always good to have a general idea of what's going on nationally or regionally, and more or less, we'll touch slightly on nationally, but kind of focus on our specific areas that we service. So, Mike, first one, forecasting second half of 2025, homes for sale. Are they going to go up or are they going to go down? This is kind of a little bit of an unfair question, right? I mean, if we just looked at any traditional real estate calendar year, the second half, typically, historically, home sales, they do go down in the second half, because it's the spring market is done. The hot summer market is starting to taper off, and then we're rolling into some pretty major events. So, but if we were to say, okay, let's maybe compare second half 2025 to second half 2024, how would that be? We got our first First comment from the Jason Walgrave, team leader of the Walgrave Real Estate Group at Remax Advantage Plus. He is coming soon. So it's kind of like some listings out there, right?
Yeah. He's just teasing. He's teasing the people, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Coming soon. Everyone's going to be like, oh, I got to keep watching. I got to wait for Jason to get on the show.
Let's get our stuff. We get our popcorn ready.
Yeah.
We have Jason coming soon. So, but second half of 2025, if you're comparing to the first half, yes, home sales are going to be down. Historically, that's a normal occurrence.
This is normal seasonal thing. Absolutely.
Yep, normal seasonal thing. We talked about just a little bit, Mike, before we started the show. You were informing me what the median sale price is happening in the Twin Cities area, and I assume this is based off of July data, or excuse me, June information that was released in July. And that's a lot of the MLSs, they do release a lot of their data from the previous month at the start of the month that you're in. So I went ahead and pulled up mine too because I was kind of curious to if you have a lot of stuff. But our median sale price, year to date is up 0.3% comparing to 2025, but our new listings. The homes for sale is kind of what I was referring to, new listings. Our new listings is up 8.8%, year to date, 2025 to 2024. So what I forecast in my market, the Sioux Falls area, the Sioux Empire, if we look at this second half of 2025, I think it's going to be very similar to the second half of 2024. Yes, it's going to be less than the first half of 25, but I think we're not going to see any kind of dramatic drop off. We'll likely see less listings than we did in the first half. But it's going to be comparable to last year in 2024 for quarter 3 and quarter 4.
I would agree. I think we'll be up slightly, but going to be pretty similar. It might not be a statistical, significance more. But I think there'll be a little bit more. And the reason why is because our rates are more steady now. If you look at last fall, the second half of last year, rates were at 7.5. And then in September, they got all the way down to like 5.75, but they only lasted a couple weeks, right? 6 weeks after they're at 5.75, they're back up to 7.25, right? We had this wave so that it was up, down. It was up, down. It's like, okay, I'm approved for 400,000 today at 5.75. 6 weeks from now, if I'm still looking at a home, now I'm only approved for whatever, 100 grand less because rates just went up by 1.25%, right? So it was that wave you had to ride, and it's like, okay, I'm looking, like I know the price range I want to be in because I have to spend 400 grand to get the house I want, right? At a 5.75 rate, I'm approved for 400 grand. Okay, at a 7.25, I'm not, right? So it's like I'm going to be looking when rates are at this right level, and then when they're not, then I'm not looking. And it was just that wave. If we look at this year, more consistent. Mid to high sixes, it's just been staying there for a couple months in a row now, and I think it's going to stay there and maybe slightly trickle down over the next few months. So we have that consistency, we have that planning aspect where it's like, okay, I'm looking in this price range, I can afford this price range, and the rates fluctuating is not going to kick me out of this price range, so I can continue my home search until I find the one that I want. So that's what I think is going to happen as far as the second half here. The consistency in interest rates with them holding steady or even slightly dropping, I think is actually going to make a pretty decent fall for us.
Yeah, so great segue right into those mortgage rates, and when we talk about mortgage rates, we're looking at like, okay, making the buyers feel more confident in terms of how they can plan accordingly with their goals that they're trying to achieve in real estate. If everything is staying really stable, then it's easier to say, hey, this is what we're trying to get done, and the plan doesn't vary very much because the rates aren't changing very much. Mike, you kind of made the comment, and we'll kind of go into that second half of 2025 forecasting for mortgage rates. what did you say right now? Roughly, 6.5. You might be in somewhere in that territory right now, depending on your credit score and your financial situation, the specific loan product that you're inquiring about. But 6.5 is probably a fair number to throw out there. Maybe slightly higher than that right now. So with that second half of mortgage rates, are we going to see the mortgage rates come down? And it kind of, we can jump back to the home sales, right? In my opinion, I think if we start seeing a significant decrease in home sales in Q3, I think that's when we're going to start seeing like, hey, now we need to do something to kind of get these buyers motivated, get them excited. So maybe let's start bringing down rates, and as soon as that happens, then you're going to see the home sales kind of jump up again. You're going to see the sellers say, "Oh, hey, I like this." I kind of got beat up maybe earlier in the year with price reductions. I pulled it off the market. I took my house for sale off the market. The buyers weren't really that excited, but now the rates are maybe 0.25% better, 0.5% better. Well, now the buyers are saying, hey, we can go revisit that house that we saw maybe a couple months ago, and with these better rates, we are more comfortable paying what they were looking to, what they were asking for, because our monthly mortgage burden is less. So, I think that's if the rates do go down in that second half, sellers are going to respond too. They're going to say, hey, buyers seem to be more excited about these rates, so we're going to go ahead and increase, or we're going to go ahead and put our house back on the market, or we're simply just going to put our house on the market because we know right now the buyers are excited. Welcome to the show, Jason Walgrave. How are we doing today?
So here's what I learned today. It was a learning lesson, life
Let's
lesson.
hear it.
Today.
Let's hear it. Okay.
Next time, before I send out this cocky smart aleck email to you two, I'm gonna make sure my computer is up and running. So we had power out in our building, our office building yesterday, and that I should have known better that when that happens, the computer restarts and then it does the updates, which I don't have set up automatically apparently. So, but here we are. Here we are.
Oh yeah, we already talked. We already talked all the S about you.
Oh, I was listening to
this.
the whole thing. I had it up on my Facebook. I was watching you two talking smart. So
Yeah.
Well, Jason, obviously today's topic, second half forecasting for the real estate market, some home sales. I mean, I just came across a couple articles that the markets that are considered to be like buyers markets, Sun Belt, has kind of been a region that's gets national news. Well, I mean, we're starting to read articles that the sellers they did price reduction. They're doing rate buy down options. They're doing concessions. They're doing allowances, et cetera, et cetera. Still no buyers, and they're simply just pulling out of the market. They're like, you know what? Maybe we don't necessarily have to sell. Maybe it wasn't a big life event. It was just something that we were looking to do, but we're really not looking to really take it in the shorts on the sales. So they pulled out. But if these rates do come down, and there's more buyers that are entering in the market, or more motivated buyers based on the current rate that it has at that time. I see sellers wanting to take advantage of that and putting their houses on the market. So we got the home sales. Are they going up? Are they going down? Mortgage rates. Are they going up or are they going down? I don't know if I've come across anybody that is saying like, hey, you know what? We feel pretty confident that the mortgage rates are going to go up by the end of 2025. That doesn't seem to be a forecast that I've come across, heard, or read about. And I assume that you guys are probably in the same seat as I am.
yeah,
I am for sure. I think they're going to stay steady. We're not going to get the bottom's not going to fall out, right? It's not like we're going to see rates at 5% flat at the end of the year. That's just not going to happen. So they're going to stay pretty steady, drift down a little bit lower. Could we see rates in the high fives? Yeah. Could we see rates in the high fives only for a couple of weeks like we did last fall? Yeah. right? But I think in general, I don't think we're going to get that wave that I was talking about earlier, where we're going to be 5.75, and then all of a sudden 6 weeks later we're at 7.25, and then we're back down to 6.25, and then we're back up, and then we're back, right? It's going to be more of the steady hanging around the mid sixes for a while. Then maybe we trickle down. Now we're in the low sixes, and maybe now we hit high fives, at a certain point. Which I think is going to be good. Just a slow, steady drop is what we're going to want. If if the bottom falls out and we see 5% flat interest rates sometime in the next 12 months, chaos. It's going to be chaos.
Yeah, you bring a great point, Mike, and you guys are talking about it early in the show. Consistency in rates brings stability to the market, more consistency with sales in the market. And so, I think rates are going to be, in those high fives at some point this year, probably towards the end of the year, which I think will be wonderful. Anything in the fives, I think, is fantastic. Marcus, you talk about, the different seasons. If you look at statistically in our markets, if you break a year down into 3 parts, third of the sales happen in second quarter, third of the sales happen in third quarter, and then a third of the sales happen in fourth and first quarter combined. And so it definitely is, real estate is more seasonal, I think, in the northern states, just because of the temperature differences, sometimes really big differences. And it depends on the market. I was talking to Bruce Jorgensen yesterday. Mike, you remember Bruce. He's called the show a number of times over the years. He's down in Florida, and he was talking about they got some inventory. I mean, they got some stuff sitting, and new construction specs, and we were talking about a couple different opportunities that brings to the table. But, I think, this year, I feel like this year is definitely moving into more of a normal, stable real estate market, with consistency in rates. We're seeing, there's more sales this year, there's more inventory. Appreciation has gone up this year again, and so historically, you look at the year after an election year, that year is historically more stable than the previous year, than the election year, right? And so, I couldn't be happier about where we're at, and how many folks we're helping, and buyers and sellers, and Mike, you and your team, and Marcus and your team, I think that we continually provide better customer service every year, because we're getting, we're up to date with technology, and all the different tools that are available to service our clients in the best way possible. So certainly I'm very, very excited about the real estate industry. I still love it after all these years, and looking forward to, closing out the second half of the year really, really strong. So,
Yeah, that technology piece is big. Like, we started using this thing called the internet this year in our business. It's been really helpful.
Hey, it is helpful.
It has been very helpful for us, yes. Well, one thing I wanted to comment here, and we're going to quiz Jason. We're going to put him on the spot here. We'll see if he's done his homework here this week. Okay, median sale price in the Twin Cities. Okay, median sale price.
You want to know what it is?
Well, I know what it's at. I was gonna. Do you know what it's at?
I do. $395.
Okay, so what I saw was 401. So the median sale price was 401.
So
Are we looking at median or medium?
Median. MEDIAN.
So my
median.
stats are 2 weeks old. So that
Okay.
absolutely could be 401.
So the one report I saw, this was this last Saturday, it was at 401, and that caught my eye, because that's the first time in history that the median sale price in the Twin Cities has started with a 4.
Yeah.
Right? And so the people out there that are like, home prices got to come down, inventory's going up, inventory goes up, rates, whatever, that means that home prices have to come down. Look, even where we're at with inventory, even with where we're at just globally, economy, look at all that stuff, right? Home prices have not come down at all, right? At least in the northern market, up here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, it hasn't come down at all through 8% interest rates, through, all the stuff that we went through, right? So keep that in mind, is that if you're on the sidelines waiting for like the bottom to fall out because home prices are going to come down and you think you're going to get a 10% discount or something like that coming up, I don't see that happening.
I don't either. Nope. No, I don't see home prices coming down. One of the big drivers of when home prices do come down, and it's only happened twice, maybe 3 times in the last 60 years, is high inventory is a part of that, right? And so you look at 07, 08, the big crash, and I mean, there was 46,000 listings, active listings in the Twin Cities, 46,000. Today we're just under 10,000. So imagine having nearly 5 times the inventory, and I mean that in itself is going to drive prices down because there's just a lot more homes to choose from, and so I believe the home values will continue to appreciate. I think they're going to appreciate somewhere between 4% and 6% in the Twin Cities, depending on the neighborhood that you're in, and I think the real estate market is going to continue to be strong and move forward.
That kind of touches our last piece that we were looking to discuss today, and that was just that median sale price. What are we going to do with that? And again, I mean, we got to talk about so specific to the market that you're inquiring about. I got the stat here. It just is a remarkable number. The pending sales for year to date in the Sioux Empire is up by 37.4%. When we compare the month of June of 2025 to the month of June of 2024, it's up almost 110% in the Sioux Empire. So there's a lot of buyers that are looking to get into the Sioux Empire, that are looking to get into the Twin Cities. So those are markets where we are confident that we can say, guys, the median sale price is not likely to go down. Even if there is an increase in inventory, which we have an increase in listings, but our inventory in the Sioux Empire is actually down quite a bit comparing to last year in the month of June. It's just so specific. But then we're always talking about, just specific neighborhoods. Maybe you do have like a buyer's market in your region that you're in as a whole, but there might just be that absolutely hot neighborhood, school district, whatever the case might be, and that specific inventory is going to be down, that median sale price for that neighborhood could definitely be up. So before we end today's show, let's go ahead and jump into our legal minute of the day.
This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute. Much of the law governing real estate purchase agreements in Minnesota is simple contract law. In order to have a binding agreement for a seller to sell his or her home to a buyer, there needs to be an offer by the buyer and acceptance by the seller. Under a legal doctrine known as the mirror image rule, the seller's acceptance must match the terms of the buyer's offer. If the seller adds or deletes any term of the buyer's offer, the law considers the seller's offer a new offer or counteroffer, and the agreement is not binding until the buyer accepts. When the seller and buyer agree on terms, the law refers to that as a meeting of the minds, and once the parties sign their name to the purchase agreement, there is a binding agreement for the buyer to buy from the seller and the seller to sell to the buyer upon the terms specified within the purchase agreement. Once all of the various conditions and terms of the purchase agreement have been satisfied, terms such as clear title, financing contingencies, inspection rights, and the like, the transaction will then be ready to close. This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute. This is Jeff O'Brien.
Oh, is it around, is that a 2-minute?
Legal 2-minute.
The legal
2 for 1.
Yep.
A 2 for 1 today.
But yeah, so I mean, just kind of a recapping today's show. If you're looking in 2025, second half, in the Sioux Empire, we're going to continue to see a lot of activity, especially if rates do improve a little bit, or to your point exactly, Mike, if they just stay stable. We're going to see continue activity because these are the markets that people are wanting to move into, the Sioux Empire, the Twin Cities. In terms of the median sale price, I don't think we're going to see anything drastic. I think my guess is at the end of this year, it's going to be similar to what the year-to-date was for 2024. And the Sioux Empire is probably going to see somewhere in that 3.5% increase in the median sale price when comparing to the previous year. I'm sure that's probably a number that you guys are seeing up there. It might be a little bit less. Wouldn't surprise me if at the end of 2025 we see a 0.5 point less. But it really kind of jumps into that point. If we do see a 5 3/4 rate, here in Q3 or Q4, that might kind of create a little bit of a buying frenzy. And we might see some more multiple offer situations that's kind of tapered off in my market. And if we do see that, obviously, when you get multiple offers, the purchase price is going to get pushed up and will likely influence the median sale price upward. So, but in a whole, very, very healthy markets here in the Midwest and in the Great Plains, and make sure you guys touch base with the people who are experts in your market to get the right kind of information to make the right decisions with real estate. Super important. You most likely going to be your biggest purchase or sale of your life. You definitely don't want to be missing the numbers by 10%, plus or minus in either direction. It costs you tens of thousands of dollars. So, guys, any finishing thoughts?
I think we covered. I think we did a good job covering the stuff today. I mean, we made fun of Jason while he was off the air for a while. That was fun.
Yeah, we
I
did.
think the first half of the show was much better than the second half.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
I agree too. Way smoother. As our show comes to an end, we want to thank you all for taking your time to listen to us live and for your support of U.S. Home Talk. As always, you guys can find our show, today's show and our past shows on our website, ushometalk.com, or wherever you guys find your podcast. This is Marcus Walgrave, Jason Walgrave, Mike Overson. Have yourself a blessed week.